So we were sent a screener from Dark Sky Films called I Will Never Leave You Alone, and this comes out on October the 18th, straight to VOD, and this... So, okay, before I get into the premise, I do want to say this about the movie. If you try to overthink the premise, or if you try to, like, get in your head about it, critique it, whatever, you're probably going to spend... a lot of your time and end up not liking the film because you're just like, this premise is ridiculous. I agree. I think the premise itself on its face is pretty absurd and ludicrous. So let's just say that up front. So that needs to be addressed because I do think that could hurt the film for people who watch it. Like, this would never happen. I agree. This would never happen. It's a really absurd premise. But, because it is fictional and because they present it in a way that feels believable to it, to its world, I guess, even though this is set in the real world.
It is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, the premise is that this guy is getting out on parole from prison and he is given something by his, it's not his parole officer. It's like, whoever's in your prison, that's like your guidance counselor, kind of, yeah, whatever. But he's in the prison with him, and he talks with him. I know that's guidance counselors for kids in school, but it's something like that in prison. I don't know. I've never been to prison, so I don't know what that person's called. But anyways, he's like, I'm gonna get you a job. I got you a job, and it's it's this place. You have to go to this house. You have to stay in there for 6 days. You can't leave. The place is going to be on lockdown. And you have to perform this Chinese ritual to rid a spirit from the house. Mm-hmm. And he agrees to it. Now, this person cannot speak. And they lock them in the house. And they are there. If they leave, they go back to prison. Right? Yeah. It's part of their parole. So, as I said, the premise is insanely far-fetched for so many different reasons. Number one, they would never lock you in a house because they would themselves go to jail for endangering somebody's life because if there's an emergency, he has no phone. Even if he did, he can't speak.
Yeah.
The place is on literal lockdown. All the windows are boarded. They put a lock on the front door like a legit...
Like a chain,
chain
and
lock.
A padlock.
It's absurd, right? Like, this would never be a thing. So you have to just accept the premise. You just have to. I did. I still questioned it throughout, like, okay, come on. This is absurd. They're giving him nothing. He can't even call out. And he has, like, no form of entertainment either. So it's like solitary confinement, basically, because he's just walking around in the house with nothing there. Anyway, okay.
It's rough.
Getting all past that. Getting past the absolutely absurd premise. I actually really enjoyed this a lot. I think the performances from everyone are really solid. I especially liked the wife's performance because we do go back and forth in time. He's reflecting on the past, and that's a lot of what this movie is about, is of reflection of the past and the trauma of what had happened. I also like that we deal with like a morally gray character.
Yeah.
He's not squeaky clean, to say the least. And this definitely features some of the more fucked up subject matter.
Yeah.
And how it's displayed as well. One of the most inventive deaths I've seen in a little while. Now, I'm not going to say anything about it otherwise, but it's not maybe what you might think I'd be talking about. But I was like, whoa. There's just a sequence in this. I'm not going to say what movie it reminded me of because I'm trying to keep avoid spoilers at all costs here. But there's one sequence in here when we find out what happened that really made me like out loud, like, oh shit.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. I enjoyed the film. I do think that I like the practical effects that are done in this. I think that there's some unexpectedly good gore. There's not a ton, but when we do get it, it's very memorable and intense, I think. And then there's also some other practical effects involving an entity that I thought looked good. And I enjoyed it. I think that, as you said, I think that the premise, like the being locked in a house and like not really having any kind of accountability, I mean, I think it is a little far-fetched, but it's also something where I think people treat prisoners and like convicts and whatnot like, you know, less than human. So on one hand, I can kind of try and be like, they just like don't really care that much, which is definitely true, I think, in this case for the person who is like setting them up with this gig, so to speak. But yeah, I thought it was good. I think it is a really dark and like heavy film. It's really sad and very sad. Messed up.
Yeah.
And it has an interesting ending that I wasn't quite expecting either, like the way it goes. I was expecting a dark ending, but this was an interesting turn of events.
It's definitely a dark ending.
Yeah.
As far as the ending goes, too, there's something that happens in the ending that is part of the ridiculousness of the premise.
Yeah.
Where you're like, why would they do that? No.
Like, wait, what?
No way they would do that.
Yes.
That's also absurd. And I was laughing because I thought there was like a time jump.
Yes,
I thought for sure there had to have been, and there isn't, and you're like, come on. There's no way they would do that. So anyway, but no, I really did buy into the drama, and I actually quite liked the horror. It is, I'd say probably 75% of the horror is jump scare-ish, but I thought it was effective.
Yeah.
And I felt that the emotional stuff, the drama, I actually thought it all worked pretty well.
Yeah.
And this is a very low-budget film. It actually reminds me probably of, like, the quality of something like a For Sale, which is another haunted house movie this year where a guy's living in a haunted house. He's trying to sell it, which is kind of similar-ish to this movie. But that's way more horror comedy. That's actually like comedy. There's no comedy.
Light-hearted anything in this.
Very dour.
Yes.
This is never trying to be funny in any way, shape, or form. This is a really heavy, dark, depressing drama horror.
Yeah.
But don't think that it's like just like endless drama and very little horror. No, there's a lot of horror.
Definitely a lot of horror. It's a lot of like blink and you miss it type of stuff too.
Yeah, definitely can't take your eyes off the screen.
A few moments where we like one of us would look away for a second and we'd be like, what was that? So yeah, it's a good setup as far as like the atmosphere goes and like the setup of like the haunting and everything.
I think I'm higher on it than you are.
I think so too.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I did. I liked how fucked up it got. I liked our main character, even though I didn't. But that's what I liked about them, is that they're not perfect.
Yeah.
And they definitely made me question a lot of them, and I very much blame them for a lot of things. The end is interesting, as you had said. It did not go the way I would have expected, for sure.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed like what it was saying, and the very last shot I actually thought was kind of sweet, but really fucked up at the same time. But yeah, no, this is a cool one. This is a very interesting. I don't know if this is the person's first film or not. I don't know if this is a directorial debut, but I can tell you that this is definitely low budget, like super low budget, and I think they did a lot with the budget they have.
Yeah.
Right. So that I thought was very impressive, and for that I'm pretty high on this altogether, because people have done way less with way more.
That's true. Yeah, it is always nice to see low-budget films that are effective and scary and really able to accomplish a lot on a low budget.
Oh. He also directed a movie called Pollen, which I watched last year. Which I didn't like as much, but I can 100% see that this is that director, because it's a lot of drama with a cool practical creature type of thing, dealing with traumas of the past. I didn't care for that one as much. I did do a review on it on the channel. I watched it without Kaylee. It was one of the movies I watched last year without you. I think I watched that one. I didn't think wait. Did I even watch anything without you last year? I think I started doing that this year. That's the one with
I don't really remember this.
I mean, and you'd recognize it from the picture.
We might have watched it together.
I know 100% I watched it.
I don't have a lot of memory of it.
She's it doesn't. I'm not gonna get into it here, but overall, big fan. If you're into really dark, dour, indie horror dramas with fucked up subject matter, and you don't mind the lower budget, but I don't know. As far as the low budget goes, it could feel it.
Sort of, yeah.
But I thought the acting from everyone was very solid.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I thought that especially the two mains, the husband and the wife.
Yes.
I thought the wife was great.
Yeah.
And so, oh man, there's just such a fucked up death in this that's so creative and I've never seen before. I mean, I've seen a death like that, but not how it's set up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, that's an interesting way to do that.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm being as cryptic as I can, but that got me. And what we see before that,
disturbing.
I've heard it described in a movie before.
I don't think I've ever seen it, so
we don't get to see it in this. We just see an aftermath, but I was like,
yeah,
damn.
The aftermath is very upsetting. Yeah. This is probably something that it's hard to say it without giving away.
Yeah.
But I guess trigger warning for sensitive subject matter because it's definitely a very disturbing thing.
And you guys know my thoughts on trigger warning, so I'll just let her do those. I will not. Anyway, so that's that. Let us know. This comes out on the 18th, which will be in about 5 days because we have an embargo. It's currently the 2nd of October for us, but we can't drop this until 11 days from now. So that's okay. You guys will see it when you see it. But one to look out for if you're into those things. If you're not, don't blame me and her coming at me. I got that with For Sale. You give shit recommendations. All right. Let me know. We'll see you in the comments.